Hello. So, good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on the parts of the world you are in. It's so nice to have you here. I would like to know if you can hear me. Please do well to put your comments in the comment section and let us know where you're joining us from. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Redefined Teens and Youth YouTube channel. Welcome to our skills conference. And today we are definitely going to have another amazing time. Today we have our graphic design training by an expert, and it will take us today and tomorrow. I'm very sure that we have all learned taking on the order since we started our trainings, and this is definitely going to be nothing short of being awesome. So I'd like to know if you can hear me. If you can hear me well, if you can see me, do well to put it in the chat section. And then if you have questions or anything, do well to put them in the chat section too. So today we have section, why tomorrow will be more of the practical. So we'd actually see how to design exquisite um flyers, exquisite designs, actually, how to come up with them. All right, so I'd like to know who is online. Welcome to the Redefined Teens and Youth Skill Conference. Okay, let me check and see. Okay, I want to confirm that YouTube hand is perfect. Welcome, 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 welcome. Okay, let me see this. Okay, wait, let me confirm. And yeah, we are gradually rounding up. Okay, I think it's perfect at the YouTube end. Yeah, we are rounding up to with our skills conference, the graphic design training. We would have optimization which will come up Wednesday. Okay, and actually remains one for the business and personal branding, which we'll get to know of. So I'm waiting to see our comments, and then we are starting just in few minutes. Just in few minutes, we are starting right away so that we can make the best of time. I just want to be sure that they can hear me so that we won't start and they'll show at their hand. But for hand here, everything is perfect. Um, oh. Let me confirm. Okay, I think it should go well. I'm post this here. Hello. Wait. Okay, I think we have people join us already. Hi. Hi, Taiwo. Good evening. How are you doing? So nice to have you here. Welcome, 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 welcome. I want to get that thing and then here. I want to get that they should be here. But by 7:10, we are definitely starting. And I think that's just a minute from now. Okay. So welcome everyone. Welcome. And once again, welcome to Teens and Youth Skills Conference. Today we are going straight into graphics design. And as I said earlier, we have an expert here to take us on. And as a matter of fact, to get to know the practical aspects of the training. So you're not just getting to know what it entails, you're also going to practice. And then, as I would always say, please, the most important aspect of the conference or of the training is that you go and learn this thing and then make sure that you practice and you begin to use them for yourself and use them to fully express yourself to the world. All right? So I'm going to read quickly the profile of our speaker and we are good to go. So, welcome with me, Mr. Apotierioluwa Owoade. Okay, so I'm going to read his profile quickly and we start. Apotierioluwa Owoade is a multilingual content creator and graphic designer whose aim is to ensure the creation of top-notch designs in a world where a lot of people are concerned with money rather than solving problems. Excellence in design and the delivery of premium services is what drives him along, as well as his capacity to learn and be taught. His hobbies include graphic design, gaming, watching anime, and studying the scriptures. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me, Mr. Apotierioluwa Owoade, who is our facilitator for our graphic design training. Welcome.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you very much. That was quite
Yeah.
an introduction. That was quite an introduction. Good evening, everybody.
Yeah.
Um, I hope we all had a great
Evening.
week. So today I am here to speak and give my um, little piece on graphics design. And this is going to be split into two categories actually. We're going to be doing the practical session tomorrow, and then we're going to be. But for now, we are going to be treating the theory and um, some basic things that every graphics designer needs to know in order to be able to excel in his field, or should I say, in the field of graphics design. All right. So before I start, I would like to introduce myself. I am Owoade Apotierioluwa, or Eri for short. I am a graphics designer. I started graphics design in 2018. No, not 2018, in 2020. Yeah, that's roughly 3 years ago. I started with Canva on phone, and I think most of my designs that I have done, in fact, like 90% of them were done on my phone. On my phone. So it's a very, very, very it's an honor to be here. Actually, it's an honor to be here and to share um, my experience and shed a bit of light on graphics design generally, because for many people it tends to be a myth. There are people who can't even differentiate in between a flyer and a logo, and I'm here to simply, um, shed a little more of light, just like I said. So today, we are going to be discussing the fundamentals of graphics design. Yeah, we're going to be discussing the fundamentals of graphics design. But in the meantime, I would love to share my screen with us. Although you can see, but I would love to share my screen with us nonetheless. All right. So before we start today, um, I would like us to take a moment and just reflect on, or should I say, I would like us to briefly discuss what um, we see, or what we hear, or should I say, what comes to our mind when we hear the words graphics design. All right. So for me, graphics design, when I hear it, um, you know, from the perspective of a creative, um, hearing graphics design can be it can come in different forms for different people. It can come in different forms for different people. All right. But for me, I know that graphics design is the art of creating visual messages. Graphics design for me is the art of creating visual messages. So whatever we are doing, whatever you're designing, irrespective of whether it's a logo, if it's whether it's a logo, whether it's a flyer, whether it's anything, we are actually displaying. We are sending messages. We're sending messages into the world. We're sending messages into our world, and we are, we're passing a sort of visual message. to the people, whether or not we realize it. All right. So we don't have much time here, and I'm going to go straight into it. All right. So why graphics design? Because there's a lot of niches that you can go into in today's day and age. Like in this day and age, you can decide to go into numerous niches. Like you can decide to go into UI UX, right? Although UI UX is sort of closely affiliated to graphics design because it involves the creation of interfaces for your apps and your softwares basically, okay? But you can also go into something like content writing. You can decide to go into web design. There's a lot of fields that you can go into, right? But I've often found that irrespective of the field that you find yourself, irrespective of where you find yourself, one question is very vital and one question is important, which is the question why, right? And we're going to get to this in a minute. We're going to see how this applies to graphics design in a minute. But what you have to know is that the question why is very, very essential in it's very, very essential for us to answer the question why in anything and everything that we are doing. Because um if you don't have a reason for doing something, you might not be able to push through when the challenges that comes with anything. Basically in life we have different challenges, we have different stages. In fact, there is a learning curve, right? There's a learning curve, and you have to pass through some of different stages before you can say, oh, that you have excelled in this niche, right? So we have to know why graphics design. Why have I chosen this field? Okay, but in this case we're talking about graphics design in general. All right. So as a designer, right, when you have your template, when you have your um templates, when you have your software in front of you and you're about to design, I think the first and the most vital question you could ask is why. That's the most important question you can ask as a designer. Why do I want to why do I want to embark on this project? Why am I in graphics design? Why am I embarking on this project? Why does this client want us to embark on this project? Why am I making use of this style in this project? Why does my client want this project? Why am I here? These are more often than not questions that keep you going, especially at the beginning of your learning curve. This is what I mean. The beginning for different people, or should I say, the beginning for learning new things can be really tough, right? And graphics design is not an exception. Anyone that tells you that it's easy is fully new. Actually, there is a learning curve, right? And it's easy, or they are saying it's easy because they have been able to graduate on the learning curve, because they have been able to move on. They have been able to see what it is about. They have been able to see, or to master their field. They have been able to master it. That's why they are telling you it's easy. But if you've ever learned anything, you will know that graphic design is not, or should I say, learning generally is not easy. I know for most of us, we might have been through one form of education or the other, right? And graphics design is just like, or should I say, learning graphic design is just like going to school. You have to submit assignments. You have to be intentional. You have to be intentional in going to school. It's the same way with graphics design. You have to be intentional about designing. You have to be intentional about being intentional. Yes, there's being intentional about your intentionality, right? Which means that um you have to be intentional about the things that matter to you. You have to be intentional about, developing this skill. You have to be intentional about developing your passion, right? In graphics design. Okay, so we have been able to establish the question why. All right. Um, but now you might ask that why is it important to ask the question this? Why is it important to say, why am I embarking on this project? Why am I using this font? Why am I designing this project? Why does this client want us to do it this way? Okay. And I'll just like to reference something that a great man once said, that when purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. When purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. Abuse is inevitable, which means that you are bound to make mistakes. You are bound to even be discouraged. You are bound to take a wrong approach to it. You're bound to approach it from a very, very wrong from a very very wrong from a very very wrong from very wrong angle, right? So it is very important, it is very vital for us to know why exactly we are doing it. It's very vital for us to know why exactly we're doing it. All right, so let's answer the question why. Ask why. All right, now the first thing is that it helps give shape and form to your ideas. You notice that in this niche there is a lot of ideas. You might have a billion ideas, but the fact that there is a billion ideas, or there is a billion methods, there's a billion approaches on there's a billion ways of approaching your work, does not mean that you have to implement all of those approaches. It does not mean that you have to implement all of those ways. It only means that in fact, you only have to choose one and execute that one idea perfectly. You have to execute it to the to the tiniest detail. And you have to ensure that whatever you're doing, you're following the appropriate rules. So when you ask yourself, why am I doing it this way? Or should I say, why do I want to go with this idea? You're telling yourself, number one, this is the idea that I have chosen, right? So it is registered in your heart or in your mind that okay, this is what I am doing. So that way it helps give shape and form to your ideas. It helps give shape and form to those things that you might want to execute. So that's the first thing. Number two is that it is the determining factor of any design. So for example, my client says I want to design a flyer for I want to design a flyer for my business. We're into making let's say they make cars, right? They make cars. Now, what you're going to do is you ask yourself as a designer, why exactly am I designing this, right? And okay, you answer yourself saying, I want to design this for a car company. I want to design this for a car company, which just mean which means that you know um um okay, I need elements that are related to cars and manufacturing cars. All right, I need elements that are related to cars and manufacturing cars. I need elements that relate to that relate uh to car production. Do you understand? So it is the determining factor of any design. It is basically the backbone of the entire operation, or should I say of 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 the entire design. All right. The third thing is that it is the question that helps you discover yourself as a designer. It is a question that helps you discover yourself as a designer. Now, as a designer, as I said earlier on, and just like this quote from this very respectable man, when purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. Now, um, if you don't ask yourself why, if you don't ask yourself this particular thing, right? If you don't give yourself an answer, if you don't remind yourself of the reason why you are in this niche, you won't be able to go far, because you have to have established um the reason why you're going into it, and have a determination, right, to stick with that reason, to stick with that answer to that why, to stick with that answer to your why, right? You have to have answered that question in order to be able to keep yourself running, to keep yourself going in the niche. Because, like I said, there's going to be difficult times, there's going to be difficult circumstances and situations, and you need to be able to say, this is why I'm doing this. And as a result, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to stick here. I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to give up. You need to be able to do that. And that is one of the reasons why you have to answer and ask yourself why, and why. All right. And also, it is a question that is often asked by clients. Okay. So you most times you see yourself in an interview with a prospective client, and then they ask you, why did you choose this font? Okay, they ask you, why did you come up with this design? Why did you get into graphic design? For example, if they're hiring you, if they're interviewing you for a job in their firm, they'll ask you, why did you get into graphics design? You should be able to tell them that this and this and this is the reason I went into graphic design. Okay, I went into graphic design because I want to create this, because I love I love flyers. You understand? You need to be able to provide answers to these questions. Why did you choose this font? Okay, it is majestic. It helps portray your message better. It gives it a more professional look. All these questions are comments. They have something in common, right? Which is the fact that they commence with why. Okay, why do you do this? Why did you do that? Why are you going this way? Why are you taking it in this direction? So it is the most important question any man could ever ask, right? Even as human beings, we discover that irrespective of how much we might have, or how much we might have or don't have, I think what brings about fulfillment for every human is the ability to be able to discover why, right? To be able to discover why they were created, or should I say, why they exist in life, right? And be able to not only answer that why, but to bring into fruition, or to bring into reality the answer to that question. For example, why was I created? Okay, okay, I was created to be the president of Nigeria, for example, right? Okay, so what are the steps I'm going to take? Okay, I get there, I take those steps, and bam, I'm the president of Nigeria. All right. So it is the most important question any man could ever ask. If you don't ask why, you will be lost. Because just like in everything that we do, every single thing that we do in life, there's a constant battle. There's a constant, should I say, struggle, survival. The learning curve, it grinds you, right? It's just like the process of manufacturing, or should I say the process of gold, right? How gold is obtained, right? It goes through fire, right? It is sieved and it goes through fire, or and then separated, and then after the separation, before it is even, if you're going to forge something out of gold, you then have to beat it, right? You beat it into the shape and the form that you want it to be. If it is not in the right shape, if it is not in the right form, then it cools down again, it solidifies, you beat it back into the shape that you want it to be. So this process of melting down and then beating back into shape, melting down, beating back into shape, is the process of learning and relearning as a graphics designer. All right. So you're learning something. Okay, you learn that, okay, today you design flyers like this. Then you go on YouTube and see a different approach, right? You learned from this one. Okay, it's not the best approach, but it works, and it works for you. It works for your style. Okay, then you see someone else that you like, and you're like, all right, let me go for this. right? And then you, oh, this works too, and it's even better. It makes my work look more professional. The process of learning and relearning is part of this brutal learning curve, right? And I'm speaking from experience because like I said, I initially started using Canva, and now I have moved into more professional stuff. And it is so much there's a very large difference in between both of those platforms. In fact, they're like anybody who knows what I'm talking about knows that it's a new world. It's a new world, right? And this learning curve can be really brutal, like I said. Okay, let me share my personal I was lost because I was like, okay, I was lost because I was like, okay, I didn't even have the ideas, right? I didn't even have the ideas to execute where I'm going, and bam, bam, bam. I keep doing it. I keep doing it. I keep doing it. I keep doing it. Initially, I start with one idea, and then the idea grows and grows and grows until it reaches a mature stage, or should I say it reaches a most perfect stage for the software I was using, right? But now I'm in a very vast and very different software. So I need to be able to know, okay, why am I doing this? Okay, why am I doing this? That's what was able to carry me on through the learning curve. And that is what is still carrying me on and carrying many designers throughout their journey as a professional. Because let me just quickly add this. After some time, it is no longer about I need money, right? It's now about I need relevance. Okay. I need to work with bigger companies. They might not necessarily offer the best salaries, but what is your reason for doing it? What is the reason for which you have decided to embark on this? What is the reason for which you have decided to do this? Okay. That's why I said it is the most important question that any man could ever ask. Right. And let's remind ourselves that when purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. This was said by Dr. Miles Monroe. All right. So always ask why. Now, um, let me just quickly give us a brief summary of why I started or should I say what my why is. All right. So as a growing child, I was introduced early to children's books, and not just cartoons, not just I mean I did watch a lot of cartoons. Like if you did hear the presentation, the introduction I was giving, you hear that I do love anime, which means it's a passion that I have grown with over the years, right? So I watched a lot of cartoons as a child, and I read a lot of children's books. But where I grew up, there wasn't that much of electricity, or should I say, the electricity wasn't that constant. And even when it was constant, growing up in an African home requires you to not watch TV, not because there is no subscription, not because there is no electricity, but just because your parents feel like, okay, it's enough TV for the day, go do something else, right? So I had to fall back on books. So basically, before I started, I think my first creative process, my first creative process as a human being, like as in creative, like when it comes to visual creative process, was reading books and imagining, right? Imagining, bringing to life each and every one of those characters in my head. I remember reading to Mary Mouse. It's a popular, or it was a popular children's book. You can always Google it later. And I remember very clearly how I would visualize every detail of the story coupled with the pictures in the book. I had begun creating visuals in my mind as young as 3 years old. So as far back as seven 17, 18 years ago, I had already started creating visual images in my mind before I could even get my hand. Was there even Photoshop back then? I don't know if there was Photoshop, but I know that CorelDRAW must have existed, yeah, because that time, CorelDRAW was sort of a big deal, yeah. Probably not as big as the Adobe Suites now, but CorelDRAW was there then. All right. So I remember very clearly that I would, Tom Mary Mouse was about a city of mouses, or of mice. Sorry, not mouses. A city of mice, basically, right? and then different characters doing different things. The postman, Tommy Mary Mouse and his wife, the fact that they lived in trees. Like, as I'm speaking to you, I can still imagine, you know, like I still have those mental pictures of, mice living in winter conditions, living in trees, and then Tom Mary Mouse goes home to his family, and then they eat dinner. But don't let me ramble on. Let's proceed. Okay. And now people tell me that um my designs are unique, right? And they often ask me how I thought up my designs. Most times I just tell them I love unique designs, but just like every other graphic designer, before I start a project, I do and I draw down things, right? But most of the time, I don't end up using my initial design, my initial ideas, because, like I said earlier on, the designs grow, the idea grows each and every time, level by level, as I continue. Like, I can spend 3 hours on a project, and all I wanted to do was or let's say I only needed to implement 7 simple steps. But I can promise you that if you sit down 3 hours with one design that was supposed to be 7 simple steps, you can end up implementing 700 steps, 700 precise, delicate steps that if you make a mistake, you probably would ruin, like, the, should I say, the perfect illusion, like perfect in quotes, right, of it, right? Not because it was not good, not because the initial design was not good, but because it wasn't necessary. All right. So this is where, like, like I make a reference to anyone who has ever been to any sort of graphic design class. Let's tell you that designers inspire other designers, right? And the work of one designer is meant to not only contribute to aesthetic beauty on social media, also to inspire other people, upcoming designers, right? And it's true in itself. They say iron sharpeneth iron. So yeah, it is true. Designers, I have designers that motivate me, right? But oftentimes I have noticed that upcoming designers take this quite literally, and that's why there's so many similarly made designs. I'm sorry for using the word made designs, right? But it means that, like it's a sea, or should I say an ocean of for example, a shoal of fish in the ocean, right? All of them are swimming in one direction. There's, like, the ocean is like really wide, really vast, and like everyone is swimming in one direction. Everyone wants to use the same one style, the same one technique, the same pictures. Like, you can scroll through Instagram and see the same pictures of models. We're going to learn about models later on in this period. But you see, like, models, those pictures that you use on flyers, that you see on flyers, right? You can see, like, the same people in 10 recurring different people. 10 different people did 10 different designs, right? And they use the same people, the same elements, and it gets boring. It's not that it's not beautiful, it's not that it's not fine, it's not that it's not attractive, but it's boring. Why is the sense of intrigue? Why is the sense of being exposed to something new? What's the sense of discovering something new from someone else's work? So it can be really, really boring. It can be really, really boring. And that's why, you know, my motto is apart from giving life to the designs of other people, I also want to create divergent designs, divergent dynamic designs, not just designs the general view of the world, but it's aesthetically pleasing, but also you look at it and be like, whoa, how can I implement this in my own next project? Okay, how do I think outside the box? Like, I feel like the world has, or should I say, a large member, or should I say, a large number of people in the graphic design community have they have followed one pattern. There's different patterns of designs in the world, actually. For those that actually go and study graphics design, or should I say design generally in the university, there's different, it's just like art. There's different forms of art. There's different artists with their different styles, right? Each design is not exceptionally long. All right. So that is my why. I believe I explained my why to us. Okay. Now, like I said, I often find myself sometimes torn between the conventional and the original. Conventional being like what all other people what they're doing, right? And the original being my own design, my own ideas from my own perspective, how I see the world. I believe that to a large extent, how I see the world is what I put down in my design, right? So when I see the world in or should I say when a person sees the world in a divergent view, it's likely that their designs are going to be divergent, right? You don't see the world the way other people see. You don't see the need to replicate inch for inch or detail for detail what others are doing. All right. So for me, my why is I was being inspired by the amazing designs and advertisements I saw and I watched growing up. Right. I remember when I was growing up, there was this advertisement of Lucozade Boost. Yeah. Where there was this figure dancing. I think the figure had neon lights dancing. And that advertisement is so much burned in my memory till date. I kid you not. I try to recreate that. You understand? Not because of but it is special. Nowadays when you see designs on stations like African Magic, when you see advertisements, you see it's the same boring thing over and over, right? Somebody playing football for like a particular beverage company I'm not going to name, or should I say beverage companies I'm not going to name actually. They are playing football or they are playing the drum set, and automatically because they take your beverage, they know how to play the drum set, right? There has to be different ways and different dynamic versions of advertisements of creativity. And this is one of the things that motivates me. Also, I go out and I see a lot of poorly executed designs by people who have shops and businesses set up in the graphic design niche, right? And it can be really, really unpleasant to see this in like they do all this in the name of executing cheap and affordable designs. And this, in my opinion, is the birth of the 3K design. Like, okay, bro, how far I want one design? Like, have you been outside? Have you seen like many POS, signboards, like many POS designs? Like they just write POS in all caps, and then they put the drawing of POS machine, and then bullet points, blah 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 blah, transfer airtime, USSD, NEPA, blah 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 blah. And literally, that's what is in the design, right? Say, I feel that like that's the birth of the 3K design. You don't want to pay for an adequate design. It's functional, right? But it's not elegant. It does not necessarily mean it's top notch, right? So you don't want to pay for that. And the person also doesn't want to go, the whole way because he feels he's not being paid enough. All right. And this has given birth to a vicious cycle of just, unpleasant designs. So the need to create exceptional and common designs is what drives me as a graphics designer. The desire to see an improvement of quality in design in myself and among my colleagues is my why. Okay. So my why, one, is the need to create exceptional designs, exceptional and common designs, right? The desire to see an improvement of quality of design in myself and my colleagues. That's the second thing. So after that, you can now have money, you can have reputation, you can have you know, you can have different you can have different many reasons, thousands of reasons, right? But this is my why, and this is what applies to me. So before we dive into the fundamentals of graphic design, I want us to ask ourselves, why why am I doing this? Why am I here? Why do I want to learn graphics design? If it's something that you would learn like to pursue, why do I want to learn graphics design? Why am I doing this? I think it's a very, very important question that we all have to answer. Why? 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 All right. So, now that we're done with that graphics design, all right. So in this part, I'm gonna be defining graphics design. I hope we're following, and I hope that we're still with me. I hope we're still with me. All right. And I hope it hasn't been too boring, actually. So let's move. We are moving into the theoretical aspect. I think what we just ended was the no, not psychologically, but the philosophical, well, yeah, a bit of psychological aspect. Actually, I think it's a combination of both philosophical and psychological aspect of graphics design. So now let's move into the theoretical, right? Before we do the practical tomorrow. And trust me, like I have an amazing design for us that we're going to work on. Let's look at the elements and principles. First, first we have to describe. We have to define graphics design. What is graphics design? Okay. Graphics design is the art and practice of planning and projecting ideas and experiences with visual and textual content. So it is not just with visual content, right? Look at the example of the POS design I gave us a few minutes ago. We have the text, which is the textual content, and then we have the visual content, which is the POS machine that most of you see, or the ATM cards. Or look at these. You might have seen gift card. People who said sell gift cards online on these WhatsApp TVs. You see their gift cards, and then they tell you we trade gift cards in bulk, right? Maybe at the left hand corner or whatever the designer has put it. So it's a combination of visual and textual content, right? It can be as simple as a business logo or as complex as page layouts on a website. So yes, as a graphics designer, you're not just working on, social media designs alone. You can be hired. Like I have been privileged to work on websites to design for websites, right? You take an entire website from beginning to the end. You design for each and every page. You design layouts. You design it can be images that you just have to edit. There's a plethora of things that you can do, right? So it can be simple as a business logo, and it can be as complex as page layouts on a website. So it is a very very broad niche. It's a very broad profession. It's a very broader society, if you will. Okay, so graphics design can be used to promote and sell products through advertising, websites, and infographics. So advertising, you see on the streets of the cities and towns, you see this election period, you see Obidati, right? If you've been to Lagos, you see the Sonwolu designs where there's like I think a good reality or something. Designs. You go out, you see designs of Maggie, like all these seasoning cubes. You see their designs on the billboard. You see Glow, right? Glow with their houses and their cows that they're always giving out periodically. You see different people with different designs, right? On website too, you see if you go to Jumia website, if you go to Amazon, if you on Instagram, you see advertisements from different accounts. Like, okay, go to our website, and then you get there, and then you see, amazing designs. They were done by graphics designers, not necessarily by web designers. All right. So, and infographics are mostly used to pass information. Right? They're mostly used to pass information. They're like all these things that you see at hospitals that tell you wash your hands before you eat, wear face masks during the COVID-19, use hand sanitizer, 6 feet away. Infographics are as subtle as your traffic signs, like your U-turn, and they can be as evident and as bold as the charts that you see at the hospital. All right. So that's just to give you an idea of what an infographic is. All right. So let's go to who is a graphics designer. All right. So you hear, okay, I'm a graphics designer. I'm a graphics designer. Who exactly is this graphic designer? Okay, what exactly do they do? Right? Because some of us don't actually know what exactly and who exactly we are. What exactly is a graphic designer? Right? So a graphic designer is a professional who assembles images, typography, or motion graphics to create a piece of design for published, printed, or electronic media. Okay, so anyone who is responsible or who engages in the art of images, typography, or motion graphics, right? So you see, have you seen the advertisement, or maybe you've used YouTube or YouTube Music recently? you see this advertisement of Jumia or Mano or something as easy as Uber or Opay. Yeah, Opay has this ridiculous advertisement that's just basically an image and a song that's playing, right? So a graphic designer is a professional who assembles all these things, right? You bring the picture, just like just like this template, right? This who is a graphic designer template that you're looking at, right? You see my text, you see my image, right? And I even use a gradient here. All right. So a graphic designer is a professional who assembles images, typography, or motion graphics to create a piece of design for published, printed, or electronic media. All right. So this this is a graphics designer. This is one of the definitions of graphic designer. Okay, a graphic designer also creates the graphics primarily for published, printed, or electronic media. Right. So a graphic designer can also be responsible for the creation of graphics for published, printed, or electronic media. So electronic media from your social media advertisement to your billboard, your electronic billboards. Those billboards are those giant things that run on generators, cities and streets, right? Yeah. Brochures, flyers, the churches, church flyers, right? Party flyers, election flyers, right? Um, newspapers, magazines, Vogue magazine. A graphics designer is responsible for that. Okay, advertisement as well. Okay, so on this electronic media, you mostly carry out advertisement one way or the other. All right, so that's one of the things that a graphic designer is responsible for doing. Okay, also a graphic designer is someone who's responsible for giving life to people's dreams, ideas, and ventures. Okay, so this is like my personal design and also my personal motto. Okay, should I say the motto of my graphics design team, right? A graphics designer is someone who is responsible for giving life to people's dreams, ideas, and ventures. So my motto is giving life to your ideas, right? So bring the ideas to life, right? And this is something I'm about to talk about. Now, graphic designs are alive, right? Most of us don't know that graphic designs are actually alive. We think that because they're images, they're like in 2D form, right? Or at least they seem in, like, you can't see them in 3D unless you're interacting with them on high tech screens or in the virtual world, like maybe like in metaverse or something. You might not be able to see the depth of a 3D design, right? But designs are alive, right? They are just far more than letters and numbers and gradients. They're far more than that, right? Unlike most people think, how well they are created determines how well they function and how far they go. Now, if you were to have, for those of us who have pets, right? You have a dog and the dog gives birth to a puppy, but the puppy isn't healthy, right? Let's say the puppy has dislocation in two legs, it can't breathe very well. That puppy is not likely to the chances of the survival of that puppy are very, very, like, they are very slim, right? Because the puppy uh can be dead in a few days, right? It can pass away in a few days. But if the puppy was brought to life healthy, it has higher chances of survival than it has higher chances of survival than the one who wasn't born healthy. Okay, so it's the same thing that applies to our designs. All right, sorry for that grim description. So the same thing happens to our designs as well. If you do create an amazing design anywhere and everywhere it goes, it will attract people. People will always be like, wow, I love this design. Wow, I'm impressed by this design. Wow, wow, who did this? Right? People always want to know why you did this, taking us back to our question, why? All right. So how far it goes is determined by how well they are created. How far our designs go is determined by how well they are created by us, right? And how well they function in the society or where that they have been introduced. All right. So a graphic designer is also a master of communication, right? A designer's job is not first to master a tool, but to master the act of communication. That is why we're having this psychological stroke, philosophical stroke, theoretical part of this conference, right? Of this webinar, right? I didn't just go straight to the practical because it is very important, it's very essential for you to know the and to know and master the act of communication before you start communicating with the world, right? Because immediately you publish your first design, you have started communicating with the world, whether or not you know it. Okay, so if you cannot master a tool, if you cannot master the communication before you master the use of a tool, it will be it will be pretty much useless, right? It will be pretty much ineffective, right? So you have to first master the act of communication before you can talk about mastering a tool with which you'll use to communicate. All right. So, for example, if I didn't know how to speak English and I wanted to use a phone to pass a call, and the person I'm speaking to only speaks English, I would first need to learn the act of communicating in English before I can actually use the phone to pass along that message. The phone is there, the phone is good, the phone is perfect, it's 5G. But if I do not have the ability to communicate, I won't be able to get my message across. I hope you get it. Okay, so let's move. If your design cannot communicate the message it was meant to, then you have not done a great job. Okay, so for example, we're still in the season of Valentine's, season of love. If you cannot see your design and be like, that is meant, like I should be able to see your design and know, okay, this is Chicken Republic. All right, they are selling chicken to me. All right, I should be able to say, oh, this is Hot Rocks ice cream. They're selling me ice cream. I should be able to see your design and immediately, before even reading the details, know that this and this and this. I should be able to see your design and jump into conclusion, if you will, right? Because that's how good you want, like you want your message to be passed. That's how well you want your message to be passed. Okay, so if your design cannot communicate the message it was meant to, you have not done a great job. So you see, graphic design is beyond the software. It is a clear show of communication, or should I say, it is a clear process of communication using design elements. Design elements. You might ask yourself, what is design elements? Well, we're gonna treat that very soon. All right. So, um, um, if your design cannot communicate the message it was meant to, then you have not done a great job. A graphic designer is a master of communication, and um, your job as a designer is not to first master a tool, but to master the act of communication. So you see, graphics design is beyond the software. It is a clear show of communication using design elements. These are the three things I would one of the things that I would these are part of the things I would love for you to take home as you enter into this new realm of you know design, if you're already there, or but if you're just being introduced into it, it's very fine as well. Okay, so um some of these three messages were things that I learned from one of my coaches. Okay, God's will. Mr. Godwill is also a designer. He's an expert designer, in fact, and on Instagram. So you can always check out his IG on Instagram. All right. So let's move on. Now we're going to be talking about the principles of graphics design. The principles of graphics design, right? And this is where the theoretical aspect gets real. This is where you want to understand the difference between balance, alignment, visual hierarchy, and other things. All right. So let's go. The first principle of graphic design I would like for you to know about is balance. Okay, and balance is the structural arrangement of elements in your design. It is the structural arrangement of elements in your design. As a designer, you must avoid lumping all your heavy elements in the same place. Right. So let's go back to the POS design I referenced a few minutes ago, right? So we are designing a POS banner, so to speak. Client has told you, I want to open a POS business. Please, can you get me a design, right? What most mistakes that you see on most of these things is they want to crap these designs. They want to crap all the elements into one place, right? They want to put everything in the middle, or should I say all the major messages in the middle, which is not necessary, right? There's space at the left, there's the right, there's up, down, your lower thirds. Every single inch of your canvas is effective in passing message, but you must avoid lumping all your heavy elements in the same place. So what you see most times is you see POS in the capital letters, and then you see the POS machine lumped in the same place that the POS is, right? So obstructing, if not modeling up the design. All right. So you have to have balance in your design. This is one of the things that we're going to be seeing in the design that we're going to be embarking on tomorrow. All right. So there are two types of balance. You have symmetrical, that creates balance by aligning equally weighted elements, right? And asymmetrical design, which is the opposite. You align a heavy element with the lighter ones to create a contrast effect. So when you go symmetrical, you're taking all the elements that have the same weight, maybe like the same sizes, the same graphic representation, or should I say the same identities, but mostly size and weight, basically. And then you align all of them equally, right? And as asymmetrical, is taking is the opposite of that, right? You take big, small, big, small, big, small, big, small. So it's no longer same, but it's now opposing weights, right? Opposing weights. So you take a big element, and you take it and place it beside a small element, right? So that juxtaposition is what we know as asymmetrical design. Now let's move on to alignment. Alignment. All right. So alignment is very, very important in graphics design, because as a graphics designer, if you don't if there is a discrepancy, or should I say if there's discrepancies, or should I say if your designs are poorly aligned, it's gonna scatter your work, right? So for example, when you're aligning, you align to the left, you align to the right, you align to maybe to the upper part or to the lower half. Make sure your alignment sticks. So for example, if there is effects on the left, we're going to see this tomorrow in our design. All right. If there's text on the left, take all your text. In fact, I'm fond of aligning most of my text to the left. I just love it because um you know I guess like it helps sort of split your work, especially if your work is going to be graphical. So if you're having images and letters, text and letters together in the same design, you have to differentiate them. This is where alignment comes in. So alignment plays a pivotal role in creating a seamless visual connection with the design elements. Like I said, if you're having text and images, visual and textual messages that you want to pass, right? Alignment plays a pivotal role in creating that seamless visual connection within these elements, right? So it gives an ordered appearance to images, shapes, and blocks of text by eliminating elements placed in a disheveled manner. That's what I referred back to liking to place my text on the left. I like to align my text to the left. Then if I have any image, put it on the right. Or take my images on the left and then my text to the right. Because oftentimes when you try to model images and text or put them in the same place, they might not necessarily work, right? You might end up obstructing one way or the other, especially if you're not using a professional tool and you have not been able to master that tool and how to use it to manipulate images, right? There's people who are very good at image manipulation, and they can place a human being inside a letter, right? Make it look as if the letter is passing through the human being. Yes, it's all effects, right? It's all manipulation, photo manipulation. But if you've not gotten to that stage, and this is why these are the principles, these are the basic principles, these are the basic things you need to know as a graphics designer. Because um whether or not you can manipulate something in the future is heavily dependent on your foundation, right? The foundation of anything is very, very important, right? So you're building a skyscraper, you need to have a foundation that is commensurate to the weight of the skyscraper. If you don't, you're gonna end up having to, like, you're gonna have to go back to that foundation and make sure it is solid, right? And even if you did master it, you have to keep revisiting and practicing and implementing these basic principles every single time you make a design. So they are very, very important. All right. So let's move to a visual hierarchy. Now, let me just quickly give us this alignment. We can see an example of alignment in this text, the principles of graphic design. Look at the text on the left side. Principles of graphic design. We have balance, alignment. You see how all of it is aligned to the left, right? And you see the balance, right? You see my big my border elements, right? On the left, you see the border elements when I embodying balance, I embodying alignment. You see principles of graphic design also well structured. All right. So I didn't put balance, I didn't align balance to the right and then alignment to the left. Sure, it can be some sort of creative process, but when you're trying to pass messages as effectively and as quickly as possible, you want to go with the basic things that people can understand. Not everybody is a graphic designer. Not everybody might be able to understand the message you're passing across, right? This is why that is why balance, right. It is true that you might want to create an asymmetrical design, right? Placing the opposites beside each other, but not too many people might be able to comprehend it as fast as you want them to. All right. So you need to be considerate of the fact that you want to pass it in the most basic but highly efficient manner as possible. All right. So let's quickly talk about visual hierarchy, right? A visual hierarchy is formed when extra visual weight is given to the most important element on your design. Is given to the most important element or message on your design. It can be achieved in various ways: using larger or bolder fonts to highlight the title, placing the key message higher than the other design elements, or adding focus to larger, more detailed, and more colorful visuals than those less relevant or smaller images. This paragraph is an example of the use of visual hierarchy. Now look at my visual hierarchy on the right side now, black on the black background, right? Visual hierarchy is above. You see that question mark there? The extension of that question mark on the black background here, right? See that it is under visual hierarchy. Visual hierarchy is the biggest and boldest thing, or should I say sentence, in this entire design. It is the biggest and boldest, right? So I'm placing extra visual weight and I'm placing an extra visual emphasis on the title or subtitle visual hierarchy so that you can know that it is the most important message I want to pass across, right? So it can come in different ways. It can come in different. It's not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily have to be text. Look at this. For example, this I used capitals, capital letters, small letters, capital letters, small letters, capital letters, small letters, just to create a sort of visual divergence. Because I know that if I went with principles of graphic design, like if I used it all caps, it might not give you that much of a difference. But now it catches your attention. You're like, okay, what is this? What is this that is looking, unbalanced? It's passing a message across to you. It is the most important, because it is the heading, right? It is the subheading, or should I say the heading on the right hand side. So it is the most emphasized. It's the one with the extra visual weight. All right. So this is an example of visual hierarchy, or should I say a very base example. We're going to be seeing that in our design class tomorrow as well. All right. So let's quickly talk about color. Right. Color is one of the most important things that you need to know as a graphic designer. You need to know color. If you're color blind, well, there is no limitations, right? But it is very important to be able to see color, to not see color, pardon me, but you need to be able to differentiate colors and apply the proper color to the that will correspond with the design you're making. For example, you have an ice cream bowl with strawberry ice cream. We all know strawberry ice cream usually comes in color pink, right? Pink, creamish, right? And then no, pink mostly, strawberry ice cream. Now you're making a flyer for an ice cream design, right? Your flyer should reflect at least one of the colors in that ice cream bowl. That way you have what they call visual there's a connection, right? That way you're passing your message faster without even seeing the ice cream bowl. I know that okay, this is pink, so it is either I'm trying to pass something maybe feminine, or I'm talking about food, or I'm talking about, you already know the things that you use pink for, right? You already know the things that pink stands for. So you know how, like, this is just to describe how helpful color can be. For example, color here, the subheading is in blue, right? And then the body, part of the body is in this other color, right? And then you have blue again at the tail end of it, right? So I use this to create a sort of contrast. I'm gonna be addressing contrast very, very soon. Okay. So now what this does is that it tells you that okay, this is the heading, color, right, is the heading with a bigger and bolder representation, right? This is the body, right? So color is an important design basic, and it takes the overall mood of a design. So if you want your design to if you've seen most people, or should I say most food fast food establishments, they like to use the color black for their fast foods, right? So you have chicken pie, you have pizza, you have take just try and observe. You have pizza, you have chicken, barbecue, shawarma, you name it. You notice that they mostly use the color orange, yellow, and black. Yes, orange, yellow, black. Those are the and white for the representations of this thing. And then you also notice that they use, they might use like some flaming things, especially when they're talking about pepperoni pizza. They're talking about something that's flaming hot chicken. You see those things, you see those colors, they come together and they pass that message to you. So it detects it. Okay, so you see that color, you see fire, like you see fire in a design. You have not necessarily seen the chicken, but you think, grilled chicken. Okay, I'm craving grilled chicken, right? And that way, that message that the designer intended to pass is being passed on to you, right? Come and buy chicken. Yes, I think I'm gonna go for that. All right. So it is very important in dictating the overall mood of a design. The colors you pick represent your brand and its tonality. So be careful with the palette you choose. As a graphic designer, it is always helpful to have a basic knowledge of color theory. For example, gold and neutral shades evoke an overall feeling of sophistication, right? That's why you see Guinness uses black and gold, right? Sort of black and gold for their designs, right? Guinness, the beer, right? So it evokes an overall feeling of sophistication. Bright colors signal happiness, right? So happiness, you see bright colors like blue and like yellow, orangish, in that tone, all those colors in that tone, they represent you see that they all have like similar colors. Even the designs that have like this probably fire flints, or basically fire colors, right? Like that have like fire elements in their design, maybe like sizzling hot chicken on top of a barbecue, that kind of a thing. You see that they all have the same colors. The colors are consistent, right? So immediately you see it, it triggers the happiness that comes with food. All right, all right, all right. So I see this, I see fire in this. That okay, it must be you're trying to advertise food to me. So I look up. Oh yeah, definitely, you're trying to sell me chicken. Okay, you're trying to sell me barbecue chicken. Okay, so blue can also signify it creates a feeling of calmness, right? So you see people like Cowrie Wise, Kuda Bank, and Piggy Best. They use blue in their designs, right? Because if I'm gonna be deducting your money per month, I want you to feel I want you to feel at rest. I want you to feel peaceful that I am deducting your money and that you're safe. Do you understand? So now I am using the color blue to evoke a feeling of mutual trust, calmness. All right. So I'm not coming like these people that are trying to sell you food. I'm coming as someone who wants to take your money monthly, right? Save your money for you. It's not gonna be easy. It's gonna be as if they're sucking your blood as they're deducting that money. For those of us who put money in piggy vest and carry wise, you know how how traumatizing it can be when that money gets deducted at the wrong time. All right. So this is the feeling of calmness that we're trying to evoke. All right. So we also have color palettes, right? Color palettes can also serve as contrast, right? So for example, you use a color palette, white, black, then with other maybe like cream, right? Those colors that fall in the category of white and black, right? You use them dark gray. You use them in one palette. If you have them in one palette, right? It can be used to create contrast. Look at this design, for example. This page you are on right now. Color is in blue, right? And then the body is in a light design, and then we have the blue again. Then we have black at the top, right? And then on the right side we have white and black, majorly white and black, or should I say a shade of white. It's a shade of white, so like more like a chrome metallic color, right? So that is that's an idea of color palettes. All right. So we have contrast. Contrast happens when there's a difference between the two opposing design elements. All right. So the common types of contrast we have are dark versus light, contemporary versus old fashioned, large versus small, etc., etc. Contrast guides the viewer's attention to the key elements, ensuring each slide is legible. Now, for light versus dark, contrast is like, when these two things are contrast, it means they are opposite, right? But they are probably meeting at a particular point, right? So this design now, light, the light text is meeting the dark background. All right. So this is an example of contrast. All right. So you have contemporary versus old fashioned. Let's say I'm trying to create a flyer for I want to recruit a writer, a content writer, right? I might not necessarily use picture of someone who is writing, right? That's what most graphics designers go for. I could, okay, let me think outside the box. Okay, I want to create a flyer for I want to hire a content writer. Okay, let me look for a typewriter. Okay, typewriters are old fashioned. All right, put it on a contemporary background. There you have your contrast. Okay, large versus small. Look at it. Typography, or let's go back to color. Color is larger, has a bigger font, is in different color than the body. All right. So the heading is different from the body. The sizes are different. All right. So contrast guides the viewer's attention to the key elements, ensuring each slide is legible. That is the work of contrast. Okay. So let's move on to typography. Typography is one of the key pillars of a design. It speaks volumes about a brand or an artwork when executed stylistically or even customized. Now, I unfortunately I wasn't able to really work on that, but in our design we're going to see customized typography to an extent, all right? Because we sort of have we're sort of limited by our software a bit, okay? So you can't really customize. Like we're gonna be using Canva, right? We're gonna be using Canva. So um, if you use Canva, you can't you can't really go to the limits, right? You can't take your text customization to the same limits that you can take it to if you're using Adobe Illustrator, right? So, but you can still customize it. For example, look at typography. I employed this same method in a former in a previous slide, right? So small letter, capital letter, small letter, capital letter, and you still have it, right? It is eye catching because you look at it and you're like, what is this? And then you look at it again and you're like, oh, typography. Oh, it's talking about typography. Okay, so it speaks volumes about the brand and the artwork when it is executed stylistically or even customized. All right. So let's talk about backgrounds. Understanding backgrounds and how best to use them. right? We're rounding up already. Okay, so backgrounds are very important in designs. Your background can dramatically change how your design feels and looks. They are the backbone of great designs. So this is where your textual, your visual content comes in. Your visual message, this is where it comes in. Your with your background. Okay, so to create simple but yet very effective designs, then a flat color background is an option. For example, the background I have used for the entirety of this course, right, for the entirety of the slides here, is a flat color background, right? So I used a light and a dark contrasting so that I could represent and I could, it's a PowerPoint presentation, right? I don't want it to be too flashy so that it looks like I'm too playful, right? But I also wanna give you an hint that okay, this is a graphic designer. My PowerPoint presentation should be different from those who have previously been part of this, or should I say who have hosted sessions in this event. Okay, because now you see, okay, I bring the perspective of my niche into my presentation. Okay, so I don't want too playful. I could have added elements and make it more beautiful, but I still want to keep it professional, right? But I want to be differentiated from other people who have come to take other treat other subjects and take other courses. Okay, so always remember to keep the mood or tone you want to create with your design in mind when choosing a color, right? So we have complementary colors, which is a blend of very light and very dark. For example, what I used here. Okay, so basically white and black, light versus dark. Okay, from opposite sides of the color wheel will be a great option. Okay, so now white is literally the opposite of black, right? Dark is opposite of light. And I just the most basic combination here. Exude a softer, more calming effect. Now that's where you see, like, let me take us back to reference of people like establishments like Carry Wise who use white and blue. All right. Blue already exude calmness, softness. So taking your money softly, all right. Don't pressure yourself. We're gonna handle it. All right. Now the white is sort of giving you an assurance. Okay, white. Ooh, okay. Peace, more calming. It makes it more calming when you add blue and white together. Okay, it gives you this serene, okay, maybe purple-ish, bluish, the different shades of that color, should I say related colors, as they can have a more calming effect. All right. So one of the tips that you can I'm gonna be giving is using two tones of the same color helps to create a great contrast in your design without causing divided attention. All right. So um in this designs, should I say, while I was designing this presentation, right? There are different variations of this white, or should I say this light background, right? So there's normal white, and then there's this chrome white, and then there's this other one that looks like cream. Then there's pink, colors that relate to it, two tones of the same color. So like you can have, like, for example, the whites that I spoke about, right? You can have the white, normal white, your normal plain white, and then you have this chrome one. Okay, this chrome one gives it a more, you know, coupled with the texture. And I'm going to be addressing texture very shortly, right? I'm going into detail because all these things are very essential when you're working on designs. All right. So now I'm placing these texts on this background, and it is sort of popping out. All right. It's like this the lower half, right? The white text on top of the black background is popping out. Okay, it's sort of popping out because it's sort of, okay, it's like, okay, it's as if it's embedded on top of it, if you look at it from perspective. Now that is what contrast helps you do. Contrast in, using two tones of the same color. All right, and it doesn't divert your attention. They're still in the same spectrum. But all you just have to do is make sure that it doesn't divert our attention. All right. So let's talk about textures. What are we gonna do about them? Now, textures are backgrounds basically, but okay, let me just say this background that I've used, or should I say the two backgrounds I have used all throughout my presentations, are an example of textures, or should I say they are examples of textures. Okay, both this one and this, they are examples of textures. Okay, so textures can create the illusion of paper or a high quality stock. just like this background. Okay, it is a particularly nice technique to use if you're creating a web content, an email invitation, or a social media design. Okay, that would benefit from a more tangible effect, providing a tactile and personalized touch. The intention of a texture is to form a three-dimensional aspect that leaves the space between your background and your text, boosting the type from the page to help your message sync. Now, look at it. Look at this now. You see the way this bottom one stands out on top of the black. You might not really see it on this white, but you see it on the black that it sort of stands out. Okay, a few more touches to this thing, and I could turn these textures, this textures in the bottom or on the black background. I could turn it into a billboard of its own, right? That's how powerful textures are. Okay, so texture backgrounds, they are very essential in creating a more tactile and personalized touch. All right, you see a lot of designers use them. That's because they make it more real. All right, so for people who don't really like, who are not really technologically inclined, for like maybe like the older generation, when you give them something that is like, oh, it's as if you're looking at the paper on your book, right? It gives this sort of assurance. Okay, so texture texture is really really helpful. Actually, texture backgrounds can be really really helpful, right? It can be really really helpful. They create the illusions of paper or high quality stock. Okay, so that's textures, right? So texture backgrounds. The key to texture is ensuring that there are limited colors and a simple composition, right? So the same way I stuck with my black related colors and the white and white related colors is the whole the whole gist, right? You don't want to divert the attention from the overall design. Except for when I talked about colors the other time and I used a different color, you notice that I stuck with one color, right? So that's the key to using it and using it effectively, right? So your texture should be substantially small, behaving as a background and not hogging attention as the foreground. So you can either use pre-created textures or make your own using small shapes and patterns. All right. So these were pre-created. All right. But this question mark at the top and at the bottom left, on top left, bottom left, they were added by me. I was the one that added them. All right. So um 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 there is no limit to what you can achieve graphics design as long as you're willing to put in effort and give it what it takes. There is no limit to what you can achieve. I remember telling someone recently that when you have a laptop, okay, I was telling the person about the fact that when you have a laptop and when you use a laptop for graphic design, that there's literally nothing you want to do in the aspect of graphic design that you cannot do. All you just need is the idea and you research what you want to do. You will literally do whatever you want to do because you know it is a sea of infinite possibilities. Okay, so let's talk about gradient backgrounds and round up this session. All right, a gradient is excellent to use on digital or print based projects. The beauty of a gradient is that you can combine almost any color, whether neutral or bold. A gradient is always a sophisticated choice. Gradients are a more subtle approach than solid or block color. Whether you apply a radial or a linear gradient, you will see a different effect on your designs. Direction have a direct impact on your audience's focus points. Okay, and let's talk about image backgrounds. We already sort of described it when we're talking about backgrounds. Okay, the best way to give your design context is to paint a picture. By including an image in your background, you grab the attention of your audience quickly and immediately relate your message visually. When overlaying type and elements, keep the detail of your image in mind. Your image background should help in conveying the message or theme. Now, let's quickly take a look at this. Who is a graphics designer? Right? This is an example of an image background. Okay, so we have our text, we have our gradient at the bottom here. If you didn't know, this is a gradient, this is a black gradient. Okay, and in the background we see a graphic designer drawing on a sketch pad, a graphic design tablet. All right, and it helps you to know, okay, we're talking about graphics design. I say we're talking about graphics design. It gives you the general idea of what we're discussing. Now that is the usefulness of gradients and image background. All right, now let's talk about where you can get these resources as a graphic designer. But before that, I used a gradient here. If you look at the bottom right where my mouse is right now, you will see that there is a sort of partition, right? That is the difference between like the gradient and the normal design. So the normal design itself is not this dark. Okay, so look at that bottom right part. That is where the gradient is, or that's say that's where the gradient is there. I drag it all the way there, so you can see that there is a difference in color. Okay, so this gradient makes it darker. It makes it easy for me to put my text on it. All right, so it's a sort of seat, right? It's like making a sandwich, right? So your gradient is like your leaves in your sandwich. You put it on the bread, and then you put your spread on it, so that whatever you're putting that is maybe like liquid in nature does not drip through the bread. Okay, sorry, I'm making you crave sandwich. Right, so let's quickly round up. Let's talk about a list of websites for any resources you may need as a designer. So for background images, for mockups, for vectors, you can check websites like www.psdcovers.com, freepik.com, fordesigner.com. And then for fonts, you can always check from dafont.com, google.com /fonts. Okay. Fonts, rather, fonts, sorry. Now, I know that I probably didn't go into detail as you would have loved me to go into detail. But if you do want to know more, learn more about graphics design, you can do that. You can always send me a message on social media, right? You can text me on Twitter, and then on Instagram at Bandis Instagram. If you do visit my Instagram page, you're gonna see a lot of the designs that I have worked on. Okay, or should I say some of them that I was able to post anyways, not them, not all of them entirely, because obviously I can't post all the designs I work on. Okay, so I also have I held a tutorial class last last year. It's gonna come up this year. It's coming up very soon. So just stay tuned and follow me for more. And you can also get the courses from me, right? So if you're interested in learning graphics design, whether a hands-on approach or anyone, if you want to know more about it, you can just send me a message on these platforms, and then we can explore the world of graphics design together. I hope I've been able to pass a little information and at least be able to reorientate and orientate the newcomers, and reorient um, 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 you know people who are already into graphics design in this session. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to be doing the practical session. We're going to be using Canva, so you can use Canva on your phone, or you can use it on your laptop. I'm going to be using it on my laptop, obviously. We are using Canva because Canva is is way more straightforward and easier to learn than Photoshop. All right, so please you can install Canva on your laptop by just going to the Canva website. You can download it. You can even download it. Just type Canva for PC on your Google, and it would literally bring out, and you'll be able to download it. So please, let's try and get it before tomorrow, so that we can all enjoy the class as much and as best as possible. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. Sorry for taking your time. I hope we all enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, you can give me you know send me a message on Instagram or on Twitter. I will be happy to reply you, and also discuss with you, and get to know you better. Thank you very much, and have a nice rest. I'll be handing over back to the Ibokun, the host of this program, um, to take us out. All right.
Okay, hello everyone. Well, this session has been so amazing, and I enjoyed every bit of it. Thank you so much, Eri, for the inciting and the very, very informative session. I love the fact that you really went into the details of graphic designing. I love the fact that you went into textile. I love the fact that you went into the backgrounds and into contrast, into colors, into knowing why you actually want to create, why you what you want to do starting. It's knowing the blend of colors, into knowing the reason why you actually want to design, so that you know how to actually come about putting together those elements and using them rightly. I love the details. Like you were so detailed with the presentations, which I really love, and I know that everybody who joined, they've also learned a thing or the other, and I am actually so impressed. Thank you so much for this session, and I definitely know that tomorrow would have a greater one because tomorrow we are live. So we are designing a design. So we would have a design live. So we are designing live on Canva tomorrow. So make sure you have your phone connected to your Canva, or have your PC with you connected, so that you can also practice. And as we would design, make sure you put into your mind the background effects, the fonts, the colors, the elements, how they are all mixed together to come up with a very, very amazing graphic design. So when you just see a graphic design and you feel like, oh, wow, this is beautiful, it's not just beautiful because it's beautiful. So many things came into it, and then so many things were considered, so many elements were considered and put in the right place, the alignment, the positioning, everything. So that's why you actually loved it. Okay. So tomorrow, make sure you join us and make sure you are here on time so that you can join us. And if you have any questions, please do well to pass across. As our facilitator said, please, if you have any words called shout out to give to him, which you should actually, which I know you will, please do also send me a message on Instagram at banddesigner, and I think you Twitter, yeah, at Apotierioluwa, if I am right, and I think Facebook too. So thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to having a greater time tomorrow. Everyone, do have a restful night, do have a great weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow.